Hi and welcome to Field Security for Missionaries. My name is Gareth Roberts. The purpose of these videos is to provide guidance and information on security and safety for those who are thinking about becoming missionaries, those who are currently training to become missionaries, those who are about to deploy and become missionaries, and also for those who've been in the missionary field for a long time. This is an introductory video and will contain a lot of top tips. Future videos will include the detail on how you, your team and your community can stay safe. Let's break this down.
So these are the type of topics that we're covering in this video series. In particular, we'll be today going through some top tips on basic security and also med hygiene. They're going to be separate videos as well, so that's a little bit more detailed information outside of this top tip introductory video. Also, we're going to be doing some natural disasters. That will be a separate video, and an in-depth look into the types of disasters that might happen, how you can prepare for them, how to respond if something does happen and you find yourself that you've got no accommodation. You might find yourselves away from any form of food and water source, and how to survive those situations and how to get back into a safe place, and how to look after yourself and your team and then be there for the communities you're there to support, and how to also to help them to prepare in the event of a natural disaster. Also, we'll look into different types of scenarios where there might be increased risks. So what happens if you're living in a dangerous country or transiting through? How to reduce the risks to yourself and for your team and those people around you, so you blend in and reduce some of those risks. Type of risks outside of just moving about could be that preventing a carjacking. So how to make sure that you've got the best chance of that not happening to you, and also if it does, what to do. Likewise, if you're in the terrible situation of perhaps there's a terrorist attack happens, what your immediate actions need to be and how to stay safe and how to get through that situation, and if there's any casualties, how to support them. Kidnapping. This is one area that people might be a little bit worried about, especially with some stuff that's been happening in the news recently. So as a result, a little bit of a bit on how to prevent being kidnapped, and if you choose to go and escape from a kidnapping situation, how you can do that, and there'll be some tips and skills on how to escape from a kidnapping situation.
Now that we've gone through just some of the topics this series will include on how you, your team and your community can stay safe, as I make these videos, I'll upload them to the following link. Don't worry, I'll put the link at the end of the video as well to try and make it easy to find. If there's a really important point I'm trying to make during the video, I'll put it here. Okay, let's go through some top tips.
Okay, basic security advice. Now, what is security? It's all about protecting yourself, your piece of equipment, and where you're working, basically, whether that's both physical and also whether you've got any data. So as a result of that, what we're going to talk our way through is how to plan before going, how to protect yourself, how to protect where you're living, how to minimize risk to your online footprint, and also how to protect the mission itself. Okay, so planning. The best place I've found to get really good advice as to what's going on in a particular country is from the United Kingdom's Foreign Commonwealth Office. Now, that website is definitely worth having a look. Now, it might be even worth just pausing the video just here, jumping across, having a look what's going on and then coming back. But basically what you'll find in that website is loads of advice as to what's happening in a particular country. You can type in the country you're interested in here and then you can get all sorts of information. For example, an overview as to what's happening in that country and a little bit of a summary of what's happening. Details on particular safety and security considerations that you need to have before going. The latest information about terrorism, for example, they might put up an image like this as to where's safe and where's not, so you can work out exactly where in the country you need to perhaps take a little bit of extra precaution. For example, here in Kenya, this amber area here is as a result of Al-Shabaab, who are in Somalia, and how it's that sort of pushes into and ingresses into Kenya in terms of security risks there. And these are kept up to date all the time. And basically what's within these website is the latest information from the British government as to what's happening in a particular country. It's derived from the intelligence agencies and the embassies in the country themselves, so you know they're up to date. Also, there's tips on local laws and customs to make sure that you don't fall foul of those, or alternatively cause offence to people and the communities that you're befriending. Also, entry requirements, so visas, top tips in terms of where to find health and what the health provisions and medical care provisions are within the country, the likelihood of various natural disasters and what things to look out for and plan for, and more on that for later videos, what to do about money, and also general travel advice. Also within that web page is some other really good checklists. There's absolutely loads of them. In particular, this one here is great. So a long list of things that you perhaps want to be thinking about, for example, about driving, etc., in terms of just working your way through each one of these areas just to make sure that you've got a solid plan before going. Also, within that place, you can find out the latest information about various visas and passports. So essentially, it's a one-stop shop of all the considerations you want to have before going out to a particular country. So that's planning. Next is about how to protect yourself. So here's the basics. A passport, make sure you've got a printed copy. So just scan and print off a copy of your passport. So if you lose it, you've still got a copy to go to the embassy and get another version because it'll just help find your details and prove who you are. Pickpockets. Now, pickpockets are rife in every single country. So just be aware of what's going on. Please try and make an effort of using a zip. It's all about just making life a bit hard for people. So if you've got zipped pockets or if you use buttons, just think about those. Keep an eye out for people who are spotting to try and spot what your PIN numbers are. And then later on, they perhaps just lift your wallet and all of a sudden your bank account starts emptying. Mugging, minimize and hide your cash. So that means just put it in different places around your body. Perhaps if you've got multiple pockets within your trousers or in your shorts or whatever, just put some money in different places. Put them inside your shoes, so you've got, if you have to carry things with you. But the top tip with mugging is minimize the amount of stuff you got with you. So if you do get mugged, you lose the least amount of stuff. And that goes for valuables as well. Just have nothing on show, whether that's in the car or on your person as well. Right, know where the trouble spots are. So this here is London. So this is available on the internet, basically saying where the highest crime rates are within the City of London. Now, there are similar sort of charts available for different countries. So just have a look on them and you know that if I'm going to a particular part of a particular city, I just need to be a little bit more careful. Travel plans and location. Please do tell someone where you're going and what time you're expected. And if that doesn't happen, then they can start raising the alarm. Free things like on Google Maps and on your iPhone, if you've got 4G connectivity outside in the country you're going into, activate the location sharing and share that with your whole team. Now, by having that, you'll be able to see live on the map exactly where you are and who's moving to where. If you don't have 4G and you're still trying to work out what's going on, and you might be jumping on a bus or public transport, or you're getting a lift from somebody, you can download maps off Google Maps onto your phone, so you've got all the fidelity of the different locations. And so, for example, this particular place, I think we were in South Korea, and we caught a bus and we weren't entirely sure it was going to go the right place, so we downloaded the map, we plotted the route that we were expecting to go, and because you don't need a 4G or Wi-Fi connection for your GPS, the little blue dot, it just followed all the way through. So we knew exactly when to get off the bus stop, which is what we were hoping to do, or alternative to make sure that the bus was going in the direction we were hoping to, and we could jump off if it didn't. If you're traveling with cash, please split it amongst a group and your pockets and different places to make sure that you keep it all safe. Disguised places. So if you've got money, try and put it in different pockets or different places to minimize the chance of it being stolen. So you can get these things off eBay, off Amazon, or wherever. And effectively, what this is this is a hairbrush that is used. We use this while we're going out, my wife in particular. And then, but inside it, don't tell anyone. That's where we keep a big chunk of our cash to as one place. And we've got loads of little squirrel holes in our luggage and our various things that just look like benign objects to hide where we've got actual cash. If you don't speak the language, so this is dim yn siarad iaith, it's Welsh for I don't speak the language, what do you do? So some top tips on that. Try and learn the basics, so a bit of vocab is always helpful. This is one of my top tips. Take photos of the essentials, so whether it's food, you need the loo, whatever, a picture paints 1,000 words. So if you're desperate for the loo and on your phone you got a picture of a loo, then it'll help whoever you ask on the streets, wherever, to point you to the nearest convenience. Also, some stuff to think about. Think about making a will before going, because who knows what may happen, and I know it's something sad to think about, but it's worth to making these sort of considerations, and also a power of attorney as well, if someone has to make decisions on your behalf. So that's about protecting you. Next is about protecting your property. So the thumb rule here is basically that with enough effort, the criminal will always get in, and your job is to make it too much effort that they go somewhere else. So quite often, if you go somewhere, they put the cheapest possible keys and lock system in there, and they won't be rated at all. So for example, most places operate on a star system. If you check your locks at home or wherever you are, and they don't have a star on them, so basically it'll take the best part of about 15 to 20 seconds to get into your house. By effectively, they just break the lock and push it in. That's how the fire brigade get in, and it's really easy and a very recognized way how criminals get into your house, probably quicker than actually using a key. So it's really easy and really cheap to just change these things out. You don't necessarily need a locksmith. You effectively unscrew this one screw here, which is in the middle of the door, and then just swap them out. And you just effectively need to make sure you've got the right size cylinder, and you can replace them out. The best quality ones are the 3-star ones, and they're not hugely expensive, probably about 30-40 quid a piece. And the other things you can think about is security cameras, whether you have external ones or internal ones. Again, these are not hugely expensive, and it'll just provide evidence, or at the very least just deterrence for other people to come, because quite often a burglary or someone coming into the property, they'll probably do a little bit of a recce, and then do you know what, if you've got a pile of things that just starts making it a bit too difficult, they'll go elsewhere. Same goes for having an alarm. Again, not hugely expensive, whether you have a fake one or a real one. It will just provide that extra level of deterrence, as will things on your windows, because quite often what a criminal might do is to break a middle window downstairs and smash that through, and then open the window from the inside to get in. Now, if you've got locks and extra locks on your windows, it's even more difficult to get in. So all of these things are basically about not on these doors, and effectively, do you know what, if a criminal's trying to get in, they pick somewhere that's a bit more of an easier target. In the same way, just building up where you've got alleys to get to the back where there's less people, just build those up. Another top tip is quite often people leave their keys near the front of the door, and if you've just got a long bit of wire that can push through the letterbox, you can fish these keys out, and you've got the keys to your car, to the house, and all of a sudden the criminal doesn't even have to even bother breaking in, because he's got a set of the keys. So if you can store your keys away from the door, and preferably round the corner, or if even better, upstairs on a regular basis, and it's easy, then that's the best way to do it. So many people just leave their keys next to the door, and they're just a gift to criminals. So bottom line, with enough effort, the criminal will always get in. Your job is to make it too much effort. Okay, next up is a few bits about online security. So cyber basics. This graphic is from the National Cyber Security Centre, and if you go on their website, ncsc.gov.uk, there's loads of really good gen. So I'll just pause here a second if you want to read these through. And basically, just walk your way through these. This will give you loads of really good information about backing up your data, keeping your smartphones safe, or to do about viruses, phishing attacks. So that's when there's a targeted attack that perhaps has got something about you in there that makes it really quite interesting. So effectively, that's what the difference between a phish and a normal virus is, and also about password protection as well. And I'll do a little bit more about passwords in a sec. One thing that's worth considering, everybody wants to charge their mobile phone, and you know what, there might be an opportunity in an airport as you're traveling around, in a random shop, in the hotel you might be staying in a friend's different location, but you have no idea what might be going on and off your phone if you actually connect your USB stick, connect your USB connection into that port. So you can get these, and they're not very expensive. They're a few pounds off Amazon and various places, and effectively what it is a data blocker. And the way it works is that if you look inside any USB, you'll see a normal one. There's 4 little gold connections. Now the 2 middle ones is the data carriers, and the 2 on the outside are power. And what these do is it effectively has only got a cable that goes from here downwards on the 2 outside, so just the power, so you're just charging your phone, and the 2 data ones just do not exist. So that means that you can connect your mobile phone into an airport, to different places, and you know someone's not trying to load a virus onto your smartphone or onto your tablet or whatever you're doing you're charging. So it just keeps you safe. Okay, passwords. Now, I like this analogy here. Passwords should be like pants. You should never leave them out where people can see them, and you should always change them regularly, and you shouldn't loan them to strangers. So, with those as the best thumb rules to do with passwords, a little analogy here. So, if you are on Google Chrome and you use Chrome to do all your web browsing, it's worth having a little look at this little web page here and seeing how much Google Chrome has saved of all of your passwords. So you know when you go on different places, they don't ask you to log in again and all that sort of stuff, because Google Chrome can save all of them, and they are all here. And if someone managed to hack into your email system and then they've got access to your Google accounts, they'll just look at this password here, and every single web page you've been on, including places where you might be, they might have credit card details and things like that, they effectively can just click that button there and see the password and your username, so that they can just take all your stuff and they just become you. A bit scary, right? So my top tip advice for this is to, whatever browser system you're using, whether it's Chrome, Explorer, Firefox, whoever, go to where your passwords are saved, clear all of these entries down, and potentially use some form of password manager instead. Password manager? What on earth's that, you say? So that is one of these. So effectively, the Bitwarden is the one I use. There's loads out there. Just make sure that you're in got a good and reliable password manager. That's not a hooky one itself. I think Bitwarden's is a great one. And effectively, what this has is it can save all of your passwords in one place. You can load it onto as an extension onto your browser, which basically means that you can go onto websites and off websites with the ease that you ordinarily would have, but you effectively log in at the beginning of that session. And so, for example, I've got a 31 character password that I log in, and then it's protected all my passwords. Now I can hear you say a 31 character password. There's not the world's chance I can remember something like that. But break it down into things. So say, for example, you've got 3 favorite Bible verses, or you've got 3 things that you remember that are particularly close to you. Just have them as a little bit of a narrative, and it's amazing how quickly you can build up a reasonably length password. And remember, you only need to do this the once. You go in, and effectively after that, once you've logged in the once on your browser, on your phone, or whatever it is, you're then doing all your browsing as you would have done before on various internet browsers, but they're all safe, and it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to hack a system like this. Okay, so now about protecting your mission. So this is about risk. So if you take, for example, right in the middle is your mission values. This is what you're trying to do, and as a result of that, you might have perhaps an outreach program to achieve your mission values. In order to do the outreach program, you might need to have a 4x4, and if you need a 4x4, one of the real vulnerable things is the keys. So what's the deduction for this? you need to have the keys in some form of lockable box, because if you lose the keys, you lose the 4x4, you can't do the outreach program, which means it jeopardizes your mission values. Now you can use this effectively as an onion layer of of deduction, if you like, to try and work out what's going on. And the really important bit that comes out of all these deductions is actually, do you know what, you need to change the behaviors of what's going on, which then become new habits, and then it starts changing the culture within the team itself. But it's all about having that protected layer of defense. So, if you want to get uber geeky about it, you could put it on some form of risk scoring matrix of impact versus probability if you want to get uber geeky. But basically, it's just about, having a think, what are the things that are really, really important to us? How do we then do them? What are needed in order to do that? And what do we need to do to try and provide that protection, so that we've got this onion protection around what we're trying to achieve? And lastly, about protecting your mission, just start thinking about the environment where you're going. How can you make it harder for people to try and get to your particular mission outreach area? When people are loitering around, or perhaps shouldn't be there, why are people there? Just start thinking about the big picture as to why people should be around your compound or wherever you are, or your particular flat, or whatever sort of accommodation setup that you've got, or where your mission's working out of. Have a think through where your weak points. Is it the window within your mission area? Is that secure? How can you make that more secure? Basically, it's all about trying to make it harder and then offset, making it less attractive for someone to target you. If something happens, how many access points have you got to where you're staying? How can you get away if there's something bad that happens? Which brings on to this real point here about, are you isolated, and how do you raise the alarm? If the telephone line goes down, or if mobile phone connection is poor, how can you raise the alarm? So it's just a case about thinking effectively like a criminal. Now, how would you do it? So look at your particular situation. Be a criminal for a day, and then try and find loads of different ways to get in and out of where you're at, and then basically create the blockers, because the more difficult it is for you to get into your place, or for a criminal to get into your place, the safer you're going to be, the safer your mission's going to be, and the more focus you can have about running your mission. So that's it. Security advice. Effectively, what we've gone through is planning, protection for you, protection for your property, protecting yourself online, and how to protect your mission. Now, in the longer videos, there's going to be more conversation about each of these particular areas, but that is my top tips on basic security advice. Right, let's talk about MED. Now, on the longer videos, we're going to be talking through each of these different areas. So about understanding the situation, what to do before going, understand how your body works and the stresses that it's going to go under in terms of doing all the traveling and transiting, and kind of like all the extra pressures that's going on inside your body. Also, we'll go through what to do when you arrive and how to prepare for that. And also while you're there, top tips like how to get water, how to make sure the water's safe, how to look after yourself and your team, what to do with bugs and pets, how to make sure that you avoid injury, all those sorts of stuff, and where to get good medical care. All that sort of stuff is going to be covered on the longer video, but on this introductory one, we're just going to cover through what to do before you go. So, what to do before you go. The number one tip I can give you is to look at this website right here. If you want to pause the video and have a quick scan on it, please do. It's really, really good. And effectively what I'll give you is all the travel advice that the medical professionals have access to if you're going to go to before going somewhere. But this version is a lot easier to digest without all the medical terms and everything. So it can give you a little diagram like this as to, for example, in India, where the malaria is. Right, the worst parts are over here and over down here. And from that, you can work out perhaps what you need. Also, it can give you a list of the sort of jabs that you perhaps need to be thinking about, but the best way to prepare is obviously to have a chat with your doctor before going, make contacts with those people who are already in country to make sure that you've got the latest advice from them. And also, please consider doing some extra training. If you don't know who the first aider is in your team, then it might be you, and if they're thinking about it as you perhaps get some more training. So please think about the training you need to make sure you're going on. But the number one bit of advice here is get advice, use these really useful, easy to digest websites, and also from proper medical professionals like doctors, and get the vaccines going before you get into country. On the longer version, like I said, we'll cover all these different areas. Here's a little quick snapshot of the sort of stuff that we'll be talking about. But as a little bit of an intro as to the sort of things that we'll cover on later, that's MED.
Some top tips on how to stay safe. Hopefully they're useful to you. Hopefully at least a few of them were new to you. And in the future videos, we're going to cover an awful lot more detail of potentially some more advanced ways that we can stay safe whilst we're in the field. The link I promised for these future videos is here. And that's it. God bless you all and stay safe.